when your paths cross, it's because God chose that for you. It takes away some of the pressure. And now here's the story. I travel for work a lot, and most often it's on an airplane. And so one day I was going to get ready to go on a trip. I was going down to Austin, Texas, and I thought, you know what, I'll grab a book to read while I'm on the plane. There's always a lot of dead time. You can't always have your computer open. I'll grab a book to read. And so I went to my bookshelf, and if you want to know how many bookshelves I have, ask my wife. It's too many. So I went to a bookshelf and I started scanning. Yeah, no, I don't want any of that, I don't want any of that. And I came right face high right here, and I pulled out a little book, and it was by Blaise Pascal. I mentioned him last time too. He was a scientist, a mathematician in the 1600s. And he came to Christ, came to faith, and he wrote a little book called The Pensies. And it was his writings to other scientists. And he was writing this to tell them how he came to faith and why it made sense. That they didn't have to check science at the door to believe in Christ. It was a scientist writing to scientists. And I looked at it and said, nope, not interested in that one, put it back on the shelf. And I kept scanning through the shelf, and I couldn't find anything I want. And you know how this part of the story ends. I kept coming back to that book, and I finally said, well, okay, God, I'm not interested in this book, but if you want me to read this book, I guess I'll take the book. And I put it in my briefcase, my backpack. Went on my trip, on my flight on the way home, coming home from Austin, Texas. I pulled the book out, sit down, start to read it, and I look, and there's a young guy next to me with headphones on, his computer open, and he's doing something with music. You know, I love music, right? He's not listening, he's doing something. So finally he takes his headphones off, and I said, well, what's going on? What are you doing there? And he said, oh, I'm a musician. I'm writing drum tracks for a song for my band. Oh, no kidding, I love music. What's your band? What is this all about? How do you do that? How does this work? And so we just started into this conversation. We talked about that for quite a while. Turns out, his band had just played at the Austin Music Festival. It's one of the biggest music festivals of the year for independent bands who haven't been signed yet. His band had just played there. He's on the way home. I said, well, wait a minute. Where's the band from? Is your band from Chicago? Where's the other guys? He goes, oh, no, actually, my band's from Texas. Well, then why are you going to Chicago? He said, I'm going back to school. I said, oh, school. Where do you go to school? University of Chicago. What do you study? Science. I'm not kidding. You can't make this stuff up, right? So I'm sitting there. I got Blaise Pascal's book in my hand. I said, science? Really? And I just showed him. I said, well, I'm reading this book by Blaise Pascal. I don't know if you ever heard of him. Oh, yeah, I know who that is. I said, yeah, it's a book about how he came to faith. He goes, yeah, that's something that's kind of bothering me. So what do you mean? He says, I'm having a problem with my faith. So I was raised in the Catholic Church, went through Catholic grammar school, went to Mass my whole life, but I don't know if I believe in God anymore. And we just had a natural conversation the whole rest of the flight. As a matter of fact, to the point where when we landed, I think everyone was kind of listening in. That's what it felt like. But at the end of that, I took that book and I handed it to Daniel. And he didn't come to faith right then and there. And I said, you know what? God had me take this off the shelf this morning, and I think it was so I could give it to you, so that you could read it. And I hope that you find in there the answer to some of your questions. Now, did I start all that? No, God was working in Daniel's life long before I ever showed up on that plane with the book that God stuck in my hand, and he got sat in the seat right next to me.
Was his band Red Hot Chili Peppers?
It was not. I know. Sadly, I haven't tried to find the band again. I don't think they made it. But I'm hoping that he made it. I'm hoping that he became a believer. And so, what do we do? What do we do? How do we make this work for us? I got 3 B's for you that I want to give to you at the end of the service. Number 1, you need to be yourself. You are not Billy Graham. You are not Luis Palau. You are not even Dan Stinnett, right? He's over in Europe already. You are who you are. Ephesians 2:10 says, we are God's masterpiece. God created me, he created you to be a certain way. And in that verse it says that we were created to do the good works he planned in advance for us to do. So why would he make a masterpiece to do works that they're not good at? He wouldn't. He made you a certain way. Share Christ naturally. I struck up a conversation about music and ended up being able to have a conversation about God because that's something I'm interested in. So Here's some questions. What are you naturally good at? Are you an athlete? Join a team. Make some friends. Be the Christ follower in that group. What are you interested in? Are you a cook? Do you like working on engines? Do you like motorcycles? Are you particularly interested in the IBU content and the hop profile of a double dry hopped IPA? Yeah, there's a few of you, and me. I have a whole lot of friends at this place in Tinley Park who I don't think know Jesus. But we both share a love for good craft beers, and I'm hoping and trying to share Jesus with them through a common interest. What kind of training do you have? Are you a carpenter, an electrician? Do you know how to work on computers? How can you use that to serve someone? Be yourself. What has God given you in abundance that you can share with others? For us, it's a garden that Bambi, I don't know how she does it, but we get bags and bags of stuff. And you know what I do with those bags and bags? I bundle them up, and I take them around to my neighbors, and I ring the doorbell, and they go, oh, there he is again, because I've been doing it for a few years. And they say thank you, and I say, God's given us more than we can use. And I just wanted to share some of his blessings on us with you. It's a little thing, but it's planting a seed. So number one, be yourself. Number two, be available. Right? When I was sitting on the plane, I was available. God, if you want to use me, you can use me. I have other stories like that. I have a time at a Hampton Inn where I asked God, if you want me to touch someone today, let me know. And I went downstairs to check out and was heading out the door and looked, and I saw the woman who takes care of the breakfast area. And I had seen her early in the morning. And as soon as I saw her, I knew it was her. And I didn't know what to do, so I decided to give her a tip for her service. And I had little verse cards in my pocket that are like encouragement cards. So I called her over, I gave her one of those, and her first words to me, after she overcame the shock, literally, her first words to me were, "Are you psychic?" That's what she said. Why? My husband lost his job, and I don't know what we're going to do. And I've been wondering and asking God how we're going to get through this. Now, I don't even remember how much money I gave her. It wasn't enough to pay her bills. But I told her, I said, I'm sent here today to let you know that there's a God in heaven who loves you and cares about you. And he wants you to know that today. And you need to get next to him because he will take care of you. Be available. Ask God, show me, because he will. And the last is be intentional. We have to do this on purpose. At this time, I'm going to ask the worship team to come forward as we're getting ready to close today. In Matthew 5, Jesus says, "You are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, the lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your good deeds shine out for all to see, so that everyone will praise the Heavenly Father." Do you notice what is it that shines out? What is it? Good deeds. It's not the great plan of salvation. It's not the Romans road. It's not give a great sermon. It's do something for somebody and let that shine out to people. We have to be intentional about this. And one of the things I shared with this team today is, as I've been preparing this message, there's another song that's kind of been on my mind, and it's really been making me kind of heartbroken. As a matter of fact, on another flight, I was watching a video for this song over and over again. It's a song by a band called Green Day. The song's name is Boulevard of Broken Dreams. I want to read this for you. I walk a lonely road, the only one I've ever known. I don't know where it goes, but it's only me. I walk alone. I walk this empty street on the boulevard of broken dreams, where the city sleeps, and I'm the only one. And I walk alone. I walk alone. I walk alone. My shadow's the only one that walks beside me. My shallow heart's the only thing that's beating. And listen to this one. Sometimes I wish someone out there would find me. Till then, I walk alone. There are people in my life, friends and family members, who so desperately need Jesus because they're walking alone. There are people that you know that so desperately need the love of Jesus in their lives. It's right now they're walking alone. The band is going to do a song for today by Casting Crowns, and it's about the same subject. It's about someone who's out there who needs someone else to reach them. And while they're playing today, I want you to do something. I want you to ask God for one name. I want you to ask God for one name. God, who is it that you want me to share with? Who is it that you want me to reach out to? Ask God for one name. And then I want you to commit that to God. That you'll pray for them, that you will reach out to them with his love this week in some tangible way. Let God help you figure that out. And there's a communication card in our bulletin. If you want us to join with you in prayer for them, connection card, you can write that name on the card. And you can bring it up here at the end of the service. Leave it on the front of the stage, and we will commit to pray with you for that person.